So, welcome everybody to the Conscious Health Podcast, and we have my co-host David with us today, and a very amazing guest. We have Peggy that's with us today as well, and the episode is very much about the power of letting go with using lymphatic drainage. And this is such a powerful modality, but I'm going to do a quick introduction. Peggy, by reading your bio, and then I'd like to know a little bit more about your journey and how you've gotten to where you are. So, Peggy Schiffner is a registered massage therapist, rapid release therapist, and Bioflex laser trained. She's certified in lymphedema therapist and advanced training specializing in the lymphatic system and system decognition. I'm going to say that word really wrong. Can you correct me? Yeah, and then it says that you are passionate about helping people heal ailments where the lymphatic system is involved, and you help people remove cancer, Lyme disease, manage autoimmune disorders, and balance hormones to get pregnant. And that's really, really impressive. And there's a wide variety of conditions where lymphatic drainage can help you achieve your health goals. With an extensive background in human biology and social services, Peggy is committed to her personal and professional growth, expanding and evolving to support health and wellness. So that's pretty impressive, Peggy. That's amazing. Can you tell us about your journey and how did you get to where you are today?
Well, right after high school, I started working at a funeral home. So that was my first kind of exposure to human biology and how the body works, and I was quite fascinated with that. So I worked in that field for 7 years, almost 7 years, and then just slowly transitioned and had some other jobs, and I ended up working at a women's shelter for 15 years. So I really saw the cycle of trauma and abuse and emotions and how those emotions were making people sick. So my passion for people and helping people and the human body decided to take massage therapy. So that led to massage therapy, sort of umbrella. There's a whole bunch of things you can do under massage therapy. So a friend of mine took the lymphatic drainage courses, and she's like, you have to try this. And I was like, I don't know, that seems boring. And then I took the first course and I was hooked. So yeah, I've been doing, my business is predominantly about 80% lymph drainage now. And the rest, I have a Bioflex laser system and massage. So it's definitely my passion. I see a lot of amazing results with people that commit to their health and they want to see some changes, and kind of basically that model of sick and tired of being sick and tired. So there's a lot of minor things that people just tolerate and put up with. And they just think it's part of their everyday life, and they don't realize that it's part of their system trying to remove toxins. And so your lymphatic system is quite complex and removes fats, proteins, lipids, excess vitamins, minerals that your body's not using, excess hormones. And it's part of the waste removal system in your body.
Okay.
Yeah.
How can you explain to a person that is just the first encounter with this lymphatic drainage, the way it works in terms of activating your immune system and also activating your healing properties of your own body? What can you tell him or her about it?
Yeah, that's great. So your lymphatic system is a huge part of your immune system. So so if you think about when you get sick, let's say you have a flu virus, or you have strep throat, something, the doctor will come in and will check the lymph nodes in your neck, and quite often those are swollen. So you have clusters of lymph nodes in your body where those lymph nodes are little filtration systems, like little kidneys all along the lymphatic chains. So how like the white blood cells are created in your bone marrow in your body, and they go and they attack a virus or a bacteria, and then when they attack that white blood cell dies. So keeping that pathway clean so that when those pathologies, when they're moving through your lymph system, then your body can eliminate it. So what happens when your lymph system is congested is it ends up in your connective tissue. So
Okay.
along the lymphatic chains, there's gaps in between the lymphangions, and that's where the fluid comes into the lymphatic chain. So when you have edema or swelling in your feet or your knees or wherever, then that's that fluid that's getting trapped there. So your immune system weakens when you can't remove toxins as effectively as what your body's wanting to do.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful, because it's like, from a like more of a spiritual, I suppose, mental, emotional perspective, is that, what's happening in your life is happening in your body. And I love that when things are kind of like getting stuck, it's like when we're not finding the flow in life, or when we're holding on to stuff, I'm sure it absolutely affects our lymphatic system, and not being able to get rid of waste, where perhaps we're bringing in those toxins, I suppose, mentally, emotionally as well, which is very interesting, in the sense where I think I read somewhere that because the lymphatic system is about kind of like maintaining that fluid balance and immunity and filtering out toxins, it's really that physical manifestation process of the etheric body which gives the physical body energy, which is so interesting, because if it's stuck in that, it's always represented in your body, which is like, have you, I'm sure you tapped into the kind of like the mental, emotional perspective and how it connects into your lymphatic systems. Have you noticed a pattern within your clients?
Definitely. When you are holding on, I think forgiveness comes up a lot with my client. When you're holding on to that anger and that resentment, it gets stored in your body. And when you're not able to move forward, it creates a physical ailment. And then in that, part of the releasing process is having your lymph system flowing and moving effectively so that you can release that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think as well that when we go through almost kind of like a spiritual awakening, there's a type of detoxification that happens on a mental, emotional level as well. I just like, it would be good to absolutely find somebody like you to help on the physical level and helping to detoxify the body as well, because one is so connected to the other. Too, which I find very, very interesting from that perspective as well. So I think you must be your hands pretty full right now, Peggy.
Yes, it's been busier than normal lately, so it's been good. And I think people that are ready to, if you're ready to fix your physical health, you're also probably looking at your mental, emotional health as well, and your spiritual health. And yeah, there's a lot of, we know the difference if we have a muscle pain, right? Or you can't turn your neck when you wake up in the morning, and then having a nerve pain is more of a sharp shooting pain. But what does an emotional pain feel like in our body? We're not taught what that emotional pain feels like and how to release that emotional pain. And when you can have somebody hold space for you and ask questions, and I use a tool called the feeling wheel. So the feeling wheel is very powerful, and because people start talking, and when they say they're angry, then the feeling wheel allows you to dive in deeper to actually how you're feeling and then what you want to change it to. So that's been a powerful tool. I'm not a counselor or psychologist or anything, so it just asking the right questions to people so that they can tap into how they're feeling. And sometimes if it's ready to let go by the end of a session, somebody that had back pain from a skating accident, and they're able to realize that it wasn't a physical ailment at all, it was an emotional ailment, and they haven't had back pain since, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how does it work, a session with you in terms of do you start first the massage therapy, and then through the massage you start uh, asking questions, or just people start speaking about what they have or they feel? How do you start your sessions?
So a lymph drainage session, I don't do any massage. If it's somebody that I'm just meeting, I talk to them and ask them about their health goals and emotionally what's happening in their life too. Because if they're undergoing stress, stressful event or any conflict in their life, then that's going to affect their mental, emotional body as well. And then as we move along, I always explain the first session, like what's happening with your body. I show them on their arm the rhythm of their lymphatic system, because I'm trying to make a connection with their mind and their body, because it's typically a system they're not even aware they have. And then as I move along, I can feel things that are stuck. So I'll ask them. Usually the first appointment, I don't do that. Just I'm getting to know them and they're getting to know me. The second appointment is more when I'll start asking them questions about what's going on in their life and how are they managing it? What does their support system look like? And then a lot of times I'll feel something and they may not know what it is, and I might not know what it is, but if it's ready to let go, then we can just release it. And them just having the awareness that it's being released is really powerful. And then all the organs can be drained in lymphatics as well. So draining the liver I do that every session with everybody, because we hold on to a lot of anger there, and that's just nobody's immune to that. Having anger is how we deal with it and how we're processing it.
Okay, so it's more like an interview, and you are just being curious about the different things that they feel in their lives and the pain that they have felt, and through that you explain the muscles, well, the body system, or the parts of the body, and the lymphatic that is related to that, and that's where they are starting to release. Do you perform any kind of muscle test or something?
Generally not. It depends on the client too, how open they are to that sort of thing. We can do some muscle testing. I also do some channeling too. So sometimes not sometimes, I'm always given a lot of information to guide a conversation in a direction so that they can answer and figure something out for themselves, and then help support them release that.
Okay.
That's beautiful, because that also reminds me of kind of like so checking into the different rhythms of the body, which is quite interesting. I was doing like craniosacral as well, as connecting in and seeing, okay, where is the energy that is stuck, right? And finding into that, which is amazing, because the body tells us everything, right? It's such a great tell as to what is going on as well. So I loved when I had my first lymphatic drainage massage. It felt, yeah, it was pretty interesting to see what was stuck and where it was stuck, speaking about the organs as well, and then working through the limitations on that side as well. Because the amazing thing about the body that I found is that it's kind of like, it's like, hey, look at me. And then that's a physical representation, because a lot of the times this is subconscious that we're looking through. And it's amazing the amount of conditioning and the filters that we have placed, filtering ourselves to stay safe, from attack or criticism or whatever, that can create some of that blockage. And it's like, where are we holding that? It becomes so important. Do you sometimes have people that have perhaps a memory surface when they're draining, as kind of like a release of that physical, mental, emotional trauma as you're moving through that? Have you experienced that?
I have, yeah. It's quite amazing, our body and our mind, and when you're in a space where you have space to do that, it's quite amazing to witness, and they get feelings and sensations. And again, I just prompt them with some questions and are you ready to release this, or how is this serving you holding on to this? And yeah, it's a pretty powerful modality just in general. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you go. I have so many questions for you, David. You're not going to have a chance, so you go and ask her.
I was curious about the relationship between, I don't know if you can mention 2 or 3 organs and the kind of emotions that are stored in each of them that you have found through the patterns of your clients.
So definitely the liver. There's definitely anger, resentment, frustration, and how stuck that liver feels. I can also tell, like, when I drain the liver, there's different layers in the liver. So it's like going down an elevator. So you can go down into different layers of the liver, and you can tell if there's blockages in there. So the liver is a really powerful one. The lungs is another powerful one. I like to drain the lungs with people that are, if they're having, like, actively having a stressful event in their life, people tend to hold their breath so they don't get those deep diaphragmatic breaths in. They're not getting that breath into the bottom of their lungs. So your lungs, your liver, and your skin are the 3 ways that a lot of those toxins get released, right? So if you're not breathing properly and exhaling, then a lot of stuff, I feel, gets stuck in the bottom lobes of your lungs. So just as a reminder for them to breathe, and then that seems to change their stress levels around a situation. They seem to be able, because they're breathing, they're able to talk about it more and process it better, and they're not holding their breath as much. And the stomach, our stomach is very emotional. It's one of the bodies of our, our brain, our gut, our heart. So the stomach, when the stomach is upset, when our emotions are upset, our stomach tends to follow along with that. So there's what we call in lymphatics, every organ and parts of your body have watersheds. So the natural rhythm and flow of where your lymph wants to move. So the stomach has 4 different watersheds. So you're able to feel that stomach and then drain the lymphatic system of the stomach, as with all the other organs. And the stomach can calm down. Sometimes it's spasming if you have gastroparesis or things like that, or just chronic upset stomach. If depends on our diets. So there's a lot you can tell by just placing your hands on the stomach and just listening to what the organ is wanting to tell you.
Yeah, a lot of noises that your stomach makes, and it's sort of like it's speaking to you and also telling you how are you feeling, no? And you mentioned the skin. What is the relationship of the skin and the expression of certain emotions or repression of certain emotions?
As far with emotions, I'm not sure about with emotions. What I do see is that, like, people with chronic eczema, or somebody that's detoxing from steroid use, from topical steroid use. A lot of times doctors will prescribe a steroid cream to help with rashes and eczema, but that steroid has to be detoxified eventually. So helping the lymphatics move so that you're pushing those toxins through the lymph system rather than out through your skin is important. Yeah. The skin...
So I wonder...
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I didn't mean to interrupt. I think there's a delay on my side, so I apologize.
No, go ahead.
So I'm wondering, so speaking about toxins, so I wonder if it's a good idea, once you've been through, say, for example, a course of antibiotics or physical steroids, depending on what it is, to actually go and have a couple of, like, lymphatic drainage just to help move that out of your body.
Yes, it's very important. any medication that you've been on, because you don't want that medication getting stored in your tissues. Lymph drainage is amazing. Like I recommend it for pre and post surgery. So doctors have reported back to me that the surgical incision and the surgical site is cleaner. So they're not doing it. It doesn't take as long to do the surgery because they're not working around whenever gunk would be in there otherwise. And then your recovery is quicker after. And then I recommend people come for lymph drainage after surgery. It takes anesthetic 3 to 9 months, depending on how clean your system is and what your diet is and how much water you drink. There's so many variations, but 3 to 9 months to get out of your system. And there's people that have developed like neuropathy or like a permanent frozen shoulder. The anesthetic will settle somewhere in your body, and then it creates another ailment for you, right? So having that anesthetic removed is really important, so that you can heal and recover from the surgery more effectively.
Okay. And I'm wondering as well, after chemo, so you mentioned, so I used to work for the one of the wellsprings in Calgary to help support people that were going through cancer as well. And it must be, and I used to, so the modality that I used to do there was Reiki. So I'm wondering, and it used to kind of like support the treatment chemo that they were going through, and kind of like allowing to remove all the toxins that weren't in alignment, and to kind of like, just support that system. So I'm wondering if that is also ideal if you're going through chemo to then, help to support that system, or anything else, and going through kind of like doing lymphatic drainage massages through that and releasing that.
Yeah, it can help with releasing the chemo. I don't see people that are actively going through chemotherapy because you don't want to be removing something from the body that's supposed to be there, if that's the path they're choosing to help heal something.
Yeah.
So when they're done their rounds of chemo, then for sure they can come and see me. And because what cancer is a whole, I have several clients right now with cancer. If you have cancer in your body and you're cutting it out and then you're doing chemotherapy, the tumor is gone, but you still have a body that's creating cancer. So what do you do in order to ensure you don't get cancer somewhere else? And from my experience with helping people heal cancer and just the process of helping them feel better through their journey, is our body has toxins in it. And when our body doesn't know what something is or what to do with it, from what I've experienced in my line of work, and I'm not a doctor, but it likes to put like things with like things. So if you have these severe toxins in your body and your body creates a sac, which we call a tumor, and it puts all those toxins into the tumor, then it's smart and it wants to encapsulate that, right? What I've seen, and again, just with my experience, is that when you do a biopsy, it's called seeding. So you put that needle in, you pull that needle out. Now all those toxins can leak out into the body. So your body's done all this work to encapsulate them, and now you've just poked a hole in that sac, right? So working on the lymphatic system so that it can drain, and then the body can try and naturally eliminate those cancer cells is important. And then eliminate the toxins that your body is building up so that you don't develop a tumor somewhere else. Yeah, so I would expect to see there's a difference between a lymph node being cancerous and a lymph node having cancer cells. So if the lymph system is working effectively, I would expect to see cancer cells in the lymph node because it's eliminating the cancer cells, right? Versus a lymph node being cancerous.
Okay. Beautiful. That's incredible, really. I read somewhere that the lymphatic system in itself, if we're looking at it from a chakra perspective, is they say sometimes it's connected into the sacral chakra, which is quite interesting because of it being the chakra of sexuality, joy, happiness, and all the rest of that. So it must be quite interesting in that sense of how you've helped. Like, I love that you help women that are trying to get pregnant, or couples that are trying to get pregnant. How do you find working with lymphatics and that aspect of our anatomy?
So I love that. So there's quite a few women, they've done IVF, they've been trying to get pregnant for 5 years, and they're just like, whatever. And I'm like, well, if you don't want to, you might want to be careful. And they're like, well, whatever. So my son is 27 now, and back when I had him, there was no such thing as IVF, and maybe it was around, but it wasn't heard of at that time. So my question is like, what's happening in our society? Because the statistics that I read are 1 in 3 babies are going to be born by IVF by 2030. So whether how accurate that statistic is, I'm not sure. But I find that very alarming. So what's happening with our hormones? And I've had a few friends go through IVF, and like, it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal watching them on their journey of trying to get pregnant. So again, when our body has too much of something, it's trying to eliminate it. If our lymph system's congested, it can't eliminate it properly. So it settles in our connective tissue, right? So by doing lymph drainage, part of that is removing the excess hormones that your body is not utilizing or needing anymore. Just like if you take too much vitamin C, your body's going to eliminate it. It'll use what it needs, but it eliminates it through your kidneys, and out it comes, right? Your hormones don't get eliminated through your urine. They get eliminated through your lymphatic system as part of the way. So if your lymphatic system's not flowing properly, your hormones cannot be balanced. So just like helping somebody get pregnant, or women in perimenopause or menopausal, our hormones are changing. So doing the lymphatic work on that, it has helped clear away the excess hormones that their body's not using, and then they get pregnant naturally.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah. If that's the only, some people have, hereditary conditions or things. Like, I'm not saying that that's going to help with every condition. Yeah. If getting pregnant is a hormonal issue for them, then lymphatics can help with that.
That's fascinating. I love that.
Tell us
one of the kind of like something where it's like, where you've been like, oh wow, it really did help with that you were surprised in.
Oh, there's lots. Yeah, pregnancies, that always, it just warms my heart, right? That I'm always like, wow, that worked. That's exciting that it worked. Cancer, like, a client with breast cancer, and she was incredibly committed to her journey, and we were able to eliminate the cancerous tumor. And yeah, like, it was kind of one of those shock and awe moments, right? Like, wow, like, constant, consistent effort, and this is what ended up happening for her. So that was it showed me how powerful it is, like how powerful of a modality it is. When, I mean, she was obviously also doing some other things. Lymph drainage wasn't the only thing she was doing to help herself. Yeah, so when I see these things and see the ailments that it can help with, and helping people, so this is another, like, wow, I had no idea, but you can lymph drain your teeth, your gums, your tongue, your tonsils, your sinuses, your eyes. And when I do my eyes, like, I can see better. It improves my vision, and helping people with like chronic sinusitis, and like, you got to wear a glove and you're up, in their nose and working on the outside of their sinuses, but being able to drain the tonsils and the teeth, and just how amazing your mouth feels after you have lymph drainage in there. And then people with like oral surgery, and, it's amazing, absolutely amazing, some of the effects so when you see that, and it's like something that's like people notice right away, because a lot of times people leave and they're like, well, I didn't feel very well for a day, and then, or they'll go home and say, I was like the Energizer Bunny, and I baked and I cleaned and I was up till 1 a.m. So it depends on how many toxins you're moving around, right? So I always like to hear that feedback from people, because then they know that they're eliciting a response and change within their body. Yeah.
And in terms of the hormones, nowadays that there are so many problems with hormonal balance, and also people that get stuck in losing weight, or they get obsessed with weight and they can't lose that. How do you help them to unblock those hormonal imbalances?
So conversations, while we're working, like what else are they doing to support themselves, is a really important question. So with something like weight loss, there's a lot of times a belief or several beliefs in there around food or how they're eating or what they're eating. I don't necessarily say lymphatic drainage helps with weight loss, but it'll help with releasing some of the emotions that are stored with weight loss, and then weight loss would be a side effect of that. So, yeah, and just having like the optimal. So every month when a woman has her cycle, how that cycle looks depends on how healthy her body is inside. So if somebody's having severe period cramps and they're having, longer cycles, and like that's showing you visually every month that there's some imbalance somewhere in your body. So, if you're having severe cramps, what's going on with your liver? Right. And it's interesting because in Asian cultures, women don't have menopause. They don't go through menopause like Western women do. And, I think a lot of it is diet and exercise and lifestyle, right? And miso soup.
That
Yeah.
magical soup that has a lot of antioxidants and all of those nutrients from the plants that they mix them with. No.
Yeah. In our society, what I find is there's a lot of things that are common, but just because something's common doesn't mean it's normal. Right? So I talk a lot about that. Like these are common symptoms for anybody, right? You're dealing with chronic, your nose is always running, or every morning you wake up and you have phlegm in your throat, or, every time you go to the bathroom, you're either running to the bathroom or you're constipated. And day in, day out, life happens and people just start thinking, well, it's normal. And just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal. So we lose sight of what a natural state that our body wants to be in. It's like having, in doing the octopus method, having a clearing every week. Like it's, when the octopus method ended, it's like, oh, now I know what my body feels like when it's clear. And now I know I need a clearing, right? So it's like that. But if you don't get your body back to that natural state, how do you know what your normal is? Yeah,
absolutely. And
Pushing the reset button.
Absolutely. And I think you're right. We get so conditioned because our bodies are so resilient as well, right? In living a certain way. And you're right. It just becomes part of the normal. It's that's just the way it is. So how does what is like a few indicators that somebody needs or could benefit from coming to that their lymphatic system is blocked?
Well, I'm gonna say probably everyone's lymphatic system is blocked.
In one way, we all carry trauma, right?
Yeah, we all carry trauma. We all have bacteria and viruses in our body. We all have parasites. So conditions, things that are not normal. So really for somebody to take inventory of really what's going on with them, like what does their earwax look like? things that are visual on what is your skin looking like? What, is your nose running all the time? Is it plugged? There's a difference between, we're talking about body parts but there, if your nose is running and it's clear versus if you're blowing your nose and there's mucus in your sinuses and that's coming out, that's two separate things going on. So if your nose is running all the time and it's clear, a lot of times that might be the lymph that's just running out because the sinus tissue is so congested. So if you're always feeling like you need to blow your nose and nothing's coming out, that's congestion within your sinuses, right? If you wake up every morning, you have phlegm. If you're struggling with losing weight, like what is holding on to your weight? If you've got eczema and skin conditions and sort of just unexplained, I had a client the other day, she's like, wow, my bunions don't hurt anymore because I worked on her feet and lymph drained her feet. Right? So little things like that. And swelling in your joints. Like if you wake up in the morning and you've got you feel like you're 80 and you're 45, or, your joints are crickety, and well, why are your joints like that? What's happening within your joints? Same with your bathroom habits, right? If you have chronic diarrhea or if your stool is normal, it's listening to our body and really taking an inventory. And then, if you've got, any autoimmune disorders, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, there's different points on the body that you can work on if you have those conditions. But the fact that there's specific points on the body that I can say everybody with fibromyalgia, I can do this protocol on. What is happening in their body? Where, what is your gut health? Yeah. I was introduced to something called colonics, so colon hydrotherapy. There's an amazing lady in Calgary that does it. And if you don't know what's coming out of your body, how do you know what to put into your body? So colon hydrotherapy is a really good tool also to start. I refer almost everybody there to go see her. Because if you don't know I look at myself as a system of part of their journey of getting better. Lymphatics is not going to heal everything. There's other modalities that really complement that. Colonics is one of them. When you get a lymphatic drainage and then go have a colonic treatment, the amount of toxins and toxic bile and whatever else is in your liver, that when I'm draining your liver and pushing that into your system and then you go get a colonic, it's like a colonic on steroids, really. So I like it when people go and do a couple of different things that help complement their lymphatic system so that it can be functioning optimally and they can be the healthiest version of themselves.
And
Beautiful.
what about the mental diseases such as depression or anxiety? What do you do with, or how does lymphatic drainage help them in order to identify those causes?
So lymphatic drainage puts you into the parasympathetic nervous state right away, which is different than massage, because if you've got tight muscles or something, it hurts and you're muscle guarding, and there's nothing that hurts with lymphatic drainage. It's all very gentle touch. So people with any mental health issues going on, it's very, very relaxing. And then I spend a little bit more time working on the head, making sure that all their pathways are drained. I recently took a brain course. So there's different things that you can do with the brain and make sure that the different glands are communicating properly and make sure the fluid's moving. Yeah, and then again, my question is like, what is causing the depression and anxiety, right? Like if concussions are a big deal, I have a lot of, both my girls play ringette, so I have a lot of sport athletes that come and see me. Concussions play a really big role in mental health and getting that body flowing and making sure that everything's flowing and leaving, because if your lymph is congested in your neck, like same with chronic headaches and things, like how that needs to be flowing and moving so you don't develop that pressure in there. So it's very relaxing. The whole treatment is very relaxing and then gives them a space to just be able to be. Yeah.
I love
Teenagers
that. So,
like it. Yeah.
do you recommend teenagers to come in to do a lymphatic drainage massage?
I do. I find that I have a lot of girls that come and see me. It helps with their menstrual issues if they're having any, and just sometimes they like to talk. We have discussions about lots of things. It's just a safe place for them to talk. And teenagers they're awkward. They're awkward with their body, and lymph drainage, you don't need to get undressed. So you don't have that feeling of them. They're not feeling vulnerable the same way as if they were to go for a massage. Yeah, and then they feel better. They're more in tune. I think kids and teenage, they're more in tune with their body because they haven't abused their body as adults have, right? So they're more in tune with what their normal state is. And then they're like, this feels really good. I really want to do this again. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love the interconnectedness of all of it, which is pretty incredible, not only from the physical, mental, emotional, but definitely bringing in the energetic bodies, the physical bodies, the the astral bodies. Like it's all that whole interconnectedness, which I love, and totally believe in that. And it's feels like it's like the growth and repair aspect of the healing that comes in. So yeah, it sounds absolutely beautiful as a tool to continue to like support people as they do their physical, mental, emotional, spiritual growth. And especially I think a lot of the times when we do go through a spiritual awakening or a deeper awakening or an understanding, there's a lot that comes up that usually it's not as beautiful as like, oh, wake up and everything is rosy and beautiful. It's like you actually get hammered into really kind of like looking at shadow work and really digging in deep and looking at what is going on, and oh my goodness, my whole world's been turned upside down sometimes. Or we come into understanding. We were actually just talking about this a little bit before, and kind of like doing a lot of kind of like shadow work. So to have a tool like lymphatic drainage, I think it sounds like it's an amazing tool to have to support on all levels, which is great.
Yeah, it really is, because when you're having a spiritual awakening, typically you're looking at all aspects of yourself. You're forced to look at all aspects of yourself, and especially cleaning up your diet and removing those toxins from the foods that we're eating now. And there's toxins in the water, there's toxins in the air. Yeah, so to be able to clean up that part of it, and then it creates space so that you can do that shadow work and you can really take a good look at yourself. And again, that, you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that includes mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So something that you mentioned about all the toxins everywhere, it's incredible the amount of like, I just like looking at like underarm sprays, like even candles with certain scents. That's just like, it's incredible the amount of toxins we consume. I did an Ayurvedic course maybe about 7 years ago, and the person that was teaching it, he said, we shouldn't use more than 3 different products on our bodies because they all contain chemicals, all of them. So if you think about it, it's kind of like lipstick, foundation, underarm, creams, like all of that, you start looking at that and you're like, oh my goodness, even cleaning the floors, right? We use, and then you walk barefoot, like you're absolutely absorbing all of that into your body. And it's incredible because I was quite unconscious of it. And I'm starting to become more, even, okay, working at the microwave is not great, but even warming stuff up in plastic or holding things in plastic is just like, like I'm a Starbucks junkie, and I ended up like thinking about the particles that are released from the Starbucks cups when it heats up. I was just like, oh, it's just like, come on, is there just one thing that we can just like really, but it's great because it's put me onto this journey of looking at, okay, what am I eating? How am I putting it in my body? How am I cooking it? How am I warming it up? because we just don't realize the amount of toxins we put in our bodies constantly.
Mm-hmm. The first thing that one of the first things that I remember when I started paying more attention was I used to buy David's tea. I loved the David's tea brand, and it has the silk tea bags. And I thought, oh, these are really fancy. And then I read an article that there is 1 million microplastic particles that get put into your teacup from that nice little silk tea bag. And I was like, I went through my cupboard and all the David's tea in it because I didn't even want to donate it. I'm like, I'm not going to be passing on toxic products to people. That was a huge eye-opening moment for me. Yeah, because all of those things matter. And, if you're going to use your microwave occasionally, then make sure that we're being responsible in using it. And yeah, all of those toxins, they get built up in our body. Our body doesn't know what to do with them. And that's what it ends up clogging up our liver. And so doing cleanses, I'm doing a liver cleanse right now. My body's like, I usually wait till spring, but my body was like, nope, you need to do it now. And we're taking a look at the water we're drinking and buying organic as much as possible. And doing a detox bath, you can use 1 cup of Epsom salts, 1 cup of baking soda, and bentonite clay, and that will help detox your system as well, right? Through anything that's not able to get out of your lymph, if your lymph is congested, so that's a really powerful detox bath that you can have. And just being really mindful. I was at a store the other day, and they had those Airwick fresheners around the store, and I had to leave, and I got a tickle in my sinuses. I 2 days I lymph drained my face and my neck and my head before I felt like whatever it was, the toxins from breathing that Airwick freshener in were out of my body. I was like, wow, this is incredible. I've switched to cleaning vinegar to clean the house. Yeah, and candles, we don't, unless you're using beeswax or soy candles, we don't realize the toxins. Any of those air fresheners, any of that fake artificial stuff, it's fake and artificial. So really doing a deep clean, and, we pulled out everything out from under the kitchen sink. We looked at all the products, and I've got, I'll put a plug in for this Yuka app. It's Yuka.
Yeah.
And my daughter, when she goes to Sephora, I'm like, you're not allowed to buy anything unless you scanned it. And it has to be over 50%. And she's really good now. She talks about it. She went over to her friend's house and she's like, Mom, they cooked rice in a plastic bowl in the microwave. And I was like, oh. And I'm like, did you eat it? And she's like, nope, I didn't eat that. I'm not eating that toxic rice. So I was like, yes. So yeah, just paying attention to all those things. And I don't know that we can totally clean up everything and not be consuming any of that, but buying beef from a farmer and doing all the things that you can to eliminate it as much as you can and have the awareness of it, I think is step number 1 for sure.
Yeah. So how can you wrap up or summarize the process of lymphatic drainage for a new client that got curious from listening to the podcast?
Oh, to summarize it, I think if you are looking to improve your health mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, maybe Western medicine has not been the total answer for you. I believe there's a place for Western and Eastern medicine. Lymphatic drainage follows more of the Western medicine principle of preventing illness before you get sick. So whether you're trying to reverse disease or illness in your body, or you don't have anything and you would like to just become healthier, it's just a great addition to your health and wellness overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And again, I know we wrapped up quickly, but just very, very quickly, what would you recommend we drink, we eat in order to support our lymph system as well?
So make sure you're drinking enough water and water that is clean. because that's how you're flushing things out. So you want to make sure that you're hydrated. Herbal teas are really good. Do a detox bath once a week so that you can help support your system. And organic. I mean, yeah, know where you're buying your food from. When in Airdrie, so being in Airdrie and being close to Calgary, we've got lots of farmers markets. So once farmers markets open up in April, that's where I buy all my produce from. I have a client that owns a farm, and I buy my beef from him because I know the farmer, know where you're getting your stuff from, research things, and really take a look at, I find it interesting. The US is now going to be banning red dye 40, and the Canadian food, they're saying, oh no, it's not bad enough to ban that. Right? Like really look at, like, what are you feeding your kids, right? What are their snacks look like? And not saying not to have any snacks, but what can you switch it to? What is a healthier option for you? And just creating that mindfulness around, take everything out of your pantry and only put back what you want. Donate the rest to the food bank. Clean out your fridge and really get clear on what your goals are and what food you want to be consuming. How is that food nourishing your body? What are you getting from that food? And then that'll help you take a look if you're wanting to make some changes. Like that'll help with the emotional, mental part of that too. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And how can people get a hold of you if they want to find out more?
So Facebook, I've got a Facebook page, Willow and Sage Wellness. That would probably be the best way to connect with me. And you can send me a Facebook message. And if you have any questions, we can chat about whatever. It's so specific to whatever is going on with people. So I'm happy to have conversations with people about that. And if you're in the area, then you can book an appointment, and we can go over health goals and work towards reaching those.
Beautiful. Peggy, do you ever do any online kind of stuff? Sorry, last question.
So I've been practicing that. And you can do distance Reiki. You can do some distance lymph, but it doesn't replace doing like a physical lymph drainage. And there is some participation involved because there are some centers in your body that need to be opened up to get the lymph flowing. So yeah, I've been practicing with that a little bit more. So yeah, we'll see in the future if I start taking clients that we can do online lymph drainage. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and it was absolutely beautiful to speak to you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show today.
Thank you, Peggy, and thank you, everyone. So we encourage always to ask questions to look for the support of the expert that we invited, and we will put all of your data in the description. Thank you, Peggy, and see you on the next one.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.